Sample descriptive essay 2. Describe your next door neighbor, what you like about that person, and how that person has influenced your life. My next door neighbor. A good neighbor is a priceless treasure, since good neighbors do not just become our second family, but they also improve the quality of our lives. My next door neighbor, Mr. Harry de Cruz, likes to keep a luxuriant garden. As long as I have known him, I have either seen him in his front yard, a hoe in hand, digging up flower beds, or taking his German Shepherd Rambo out on an evening walk. Being a bachelor, he lives a quiet and simple life. His leisure hours are mostly spent in solitude and pursuit of personal well-being. Not only is he a good neighbor, but he is also an extremely interesting man. Mr. Harry moved into our locality when I was around 5 years old. I remember liking him instantly because not only was his name Harry, but he also bore a striking resemblance to my favorite fictional character, Harry Potter. His eyes were a delicate shade of green, popping out from behind thick, round goggles. He had stiff black hair, peppered with a few strands of grey, a very straight nose, and a remarkably good-humoured smile. He arrived with Rambo's mother, Lucy, who used to be my playmate for most of my middle school years. Lucy passed away when I was 12 years old, a year after giving birth to Rambo. Since then, little pink-nosed Rambo has become the be-all and end-all of Mr. Harry's existence. By profession, he was an English teacher at St. John's School, situated on the banks of River Hooghly in the neighbouring town. Even though he retired from service last year, whenever I have any doubt about a particular story or a poem in the syllabus or a misconception about any grammar rule discussed in school, I take it up to him, and he spends whole evenings nipping my doubt in the bud. He is the one who inculcated in me the habit of reading books. For every year on my birthday, he would gift me a box of books without fail. When I was little, he usually got me the abridged, illustrated versions of Tom Sawyer, Gulliver's Travels, Little Women, Robin Hood, and other classics. As I grew older, he substituted those with their originals. I liked visiting him on weekends precisely because of the library room in his house. A room full of the rarest books one could find, right from the ceiling to the floor, spick and span, with countless rows of enormous cupboards and endless shelves. The pages of these books were so old and yellow that they smelt like nostalgia. But most of them were hardbound and so well preserved that even though they might be decades old, not a single page came off. What surprised me most was the fact that he always seemed to know the exact location of every book, even though there might be thousands of them in that gigantic musty room of his. For as long as I can remember, I have always been in love with the winter season. And one of the primary reasons for that is the wonderful memories I always associate with this particular time of the year. Christmas at Mr. Harry's place is something I look forward to every single year. Not just Christmas, but also the sight of his garden from the window in my room. His seasonal plants would be in full bloom around the end of December. The soft-petaled dahlias, petunias, and chrysanthemums of every conceivable hue was a perfect feast for my eyes. The air around his house was always thick with the odor of the loveliest musk roses. At the close of the day, one would often find Mr. Harry sitting at his garden table, soaking in the flamboyance of his garden and taking small sips from his cup of steaming coffee, his face glowing with contentment. Every Christmas Eve, he put up a huge Christmas tree right at the center of the living room. And all the kids from the neighborhood, including me, went over to his house to partake in the decoration of the tree with sparkling stars, tinsel bells, streamers, balls, and fairy lights. The smell of cake and cookies would fill the air while we decked up the tree. And before we left, he would treat us to some of these mouth-watering delicacies, saving the robust plum cake for the next day. On Christmas evenings, his house usually looks like a set straight out of Disneyland, with fairy lights, lanterns, and candles glowing in every nook and corner. The jingling of the bells and the tinkling of glasses, the smell of roasted turkey, garlic bread, cheese poppers, tarts, pastries, marmalades, and the hot chocolate, and the good old melodies of Christmas carols that I so cherished, transported me to a completely different world. It was surprising how he single-handedly took care of everything and made sure he put all his love and efforts in the preparation so that this one day in the entire year would be perfect for everyone in the neighborhood. One day when I asked him why he took so much trouble every year, he told me, "Let me tell you a secret. If you focus too much on your own happiness, you will never be happy. Happiness comes to you when you focus on how you can make other people happy." This was one very important lesson I learned from my neighbor, that in order to be happy, one must spread happiness. And this is something that inspired in me such profound respect and love for him. I always pray to God for his safety and well-being. May he live a long and happy life. Thank you. That's all for this video. See you once again in the next video.